I summon Yu-Gi-Oh! Review in attack mode. Wow, talk about sudden. I mean, we knew we were getting a new Yu-Gi-Oh! Game on current gen consoles in what, June? And on 30th of July, they're like, oh, by the way, we're releasing this game tomorrow. It's a good thing I got paid that same day, and I bought the game the next day, because for a lot of people, that's probably going to be a problem, and I don't know why Konami announced it the day before the game came out. They were like, oh, by the way, this game's dropping tomorrow. Okay, not everybody got paid that day, so I'm sure Konami were probably aware of that. So I'm sure that's probably going to affect sales in some way, but I have the game, I've been playing it practically non-stop since it came out, and bloody hell, they really went all out with this game, and they really put a lot of stuff in there. So let's go into detail about what I liked and didn't like about Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist. Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist literally encompasses every single thing in the history of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime and puts it all into one game. The detail they've gone into is incredible. If you go back and watch any of the episodes that are featured in the actual campaign of this game, you will see that word for word they have recreated the story. Now, it does feel a bit sort of cheap and DS game-like in a way. Hopefully you know what I mean by that. You know, instead of actually having cutscenes, you've got little sort of talking heads at the camera, and you know, that's fine. I mean, it's only a cheap game, it's not like it's full price. If it was full price, I probably wouldn't be so easy on it, but it is only sort of a £16 game, or $20 if you're in the United States, so I can kind of let it slide for that, because it's not a full price game. It's actually half the price of a full price game, maybe just a little bit less than half price. So I can let that slide, so that's fine by me. And you know, the amount of detail they've gone into the dialogue and they've put into the actual, you know, campaign as well really does bring out the essence that was Yu-Gi-Oh! And when, you know, growing up in the 90s when I used to watch it. And they don't just do sort of the old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you've followed Yugi and Joey, Tristan and Taya through the Duel Kingdom and whatever else. You go on to Yu-Gi-Oh! GX and Zexel and everything else. You know, I stopped watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Personally after Yugi stopped being the protagonist, and that wasn't just some, you know, decision. That wasn't just, you know, they replaced Yugi and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to watch that anymore. You know, at the time, things were different for me and I didn't really have the time to dedicate to watching TV as much, so it was just sort of how it worked out. So I'm not really familiar with everything beyond that, you know, from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX and stuff like that, so I did have to relearn a lot of the stuff, and the campaign's there to help me get up to date with the story, all the things I missed, so that's good. Overall, I think the game is very well put together. There's a few things I'll probably change, but I'll go into detail about that later on in the video. So let's talk about the campaign itself first. I mean, you start off as Yugi, You get the full exposition about who he is. Even starts off with the Yugi versus Joey duel in the school, and that acts as your tutorial to bring you into the story and will teach you, if you don't really know, or if you haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh, or you haven't seen it for a number of years, it brings you back into that world so you can be more prepared going forward in the story. Because obviously the next battle after that is where you fight Kaiba, and you can try and recreate the battles as closely to the TV show as you can. They do give you the tools to do that, but again, it's all about the way the cards work out. Now, I did beat Kaiba with 3 Blue Eyes on his side of the field, and I managed to summon Exodia to beat him, but I was just lucky to do it that way. A lot of people aren't doing it that way because they either can't get the Exodia pieces before Kaiba beats them, or whatever else, but the tools are there to do that. So if you do want to try and recreate the story and you're not going to be happy until you do that, you can do it. Just be aware it's going to be quite kind of difficult to do that because of the fact that you are still relying on chance. It's still a game of chance. Now, the gameplay itself does rely on chance. I mean, looking at this deck of cards, you know, if I say I want to get my Red Eyes Black Dragon out of there because it's part of my strategy, I've just got to be hopeful that the Red Eyes Black Dragon is one of the cards I pull out of the deck. So it is still a game of chance. You can have your strategy, but if the cards aren't there when you need them, it can get very frustrating. But that's part of the game anyway. That's part of the game anyway. When we were kids growing up playing with these things. Hey, the Red Eyes is actually at the front of the deck. Yeah, it's part of the game anyway. You can have the best strategy in the world, but if the cards don't line up the way you need them, and if you keep getting, you know, cards that are part of a different strategy, and it's kind of mixing, and you can't really get sort of the right sort of strategy going, it's going to get frustrating. You are going to lose most likely. I've had that on more than one occasion. There's been times when I've fought someone in the campaign who's not even that difficult, and it's been really difficult because I've got, say, 3 different strategies in my deck, and I'm getting kind of elements from each strategy kind of mixed in together, and there's nothing really I can do. Whereas when I fought Kaiba just before the end of the Yugi sort of section of the story, I beat him within 3 turns because one of my strategies just so happened to line up right from the start. So that's the sort of thing to consider with this sort of game. I mean, it's still a game of chance, just like playing, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh, you know, back in the day, or watching the anime. It's still, well, obviously that in that case it's contrived chance. It's not actually a game of chance, but or playing with the cards in real life, you know, it's still a game of chance. Although skill does still come into it. So obviously once you've got the cards, you've got to know how to use them, and you know, getting a good combo in, or really invoking that strategy you had going in, it really does feel good when you manage to pull that off. So that's really good. That's very well integrated, you know, into the game, and I can't fault that. So the gameplay itself is very, very good. The campaign itself is long. I mean, it took me about a day and a half to get through Yugi's story, and that's playing through the game all day yesterday and most of today. I've just started Jaden's section in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. I'm only about 2 duels into that, so I'm not really going to comment on that. But overall, yeah, the campaign is very long. There's 5 sections of it, from Yu-Gi-Oh! The original series to, I think it's Zexal. Is Zexal the most recent one? I think so, and everything in between. And it doesn't just cover the important duels. You would think maybe 4 or 5 duels in Duel Kingdom, but no, it's about 15. So that's good. They've added as much as they can. You know, you fight with Kaiba at the start and Pegasus at the end are just as sort of challenging as, say, a duel against Mako Tsunami or Weevil Underwood or Rex Raptor or whoever else. So that's interesting. I found one of the most difficult duels is against Seeker, one of the rare item hunters from the second series with the Duel City, because of the fact that in the anime he had 3 sets of Exodia, and he has 3 sets of Exodia in the actual game. So you've got to beat him in so many turns. You know, it varies. At one point I lost to him within 3 turns. Another time I beat him after going about 15 or 16 turns. So it is still a game about a chance, but he was the most difficult one. I think it took me about 6 or 7 attempts, simply because if you do leave it too long, it's most likely, you know, he's going to summon Exodia and beat you, because as we all know, Exodia is an automatic win for whoever manages to summon him. If I can get my words out, that'd be fantastic. So overall, I think there's a lot of detail put into the campaign, but the campaign isn't the only thing you can do. You can play online. Now, I've been having a lot of trouble with online, trying to find people to play against in either player matches or ranked matches. I have one friend who has the game and he doesn't really play it online, so I'm kind of relying on strangers, and it's very difficult to actually connect to anyone. I don't know whether the servers are having problems or whether people just genuinely don't really have this game because of the fact that it was announced at the last minute. I'm not sure. I'm going to look into that, so I'm not really going to say anything on online. But it is kind of frustrating when, you know, you're promised this online mode and you can really only just find one or two people to play against. I do find that very frustrating. In a ranked match, which is supposed to just pick any random person out of the world to play against you, I played the same person twice in a row. And I don't believe that me and this other person are the only two people in the world with a copy of this game. So I'm going to believe it's something to do with the servers. So hopefully that gets sorted at some point in the future. It's just, it would be nice if it was sorted now. Other modes in the game include this thing called Duelist challenges. This is basically once you beat someone in the campaign, you unlock them in duel challenges, and then you play against them again for extra rewards, because every time you beat them you gain a new card, and this is for extra rewards anyway once you've done that. And they are so much more difficult in challenges than they are in the campaign. That's probably deliberate, but it's very, very difficult. So far I've only managed to beat Mako Tsunami in challenges. I can't even beat, you know, My Valentine, who in the anime hardly won at all. So, you know, keep that in mind as well. They are going to be tough as shit in the Duelist challenges. Another mode I quite like, it's not really a mode, it's more of a sort of card unlocking, is basically you buy booster packs with in-game currency. Thankfully it's not real money. They could have easily gone down the route of making you pay for booster packs, but no, it's in-game money that you earn, and it's very easy to come across that money as well. So say buying Yugi's grandpa's packs of cards, which has a chance of getting Exodia, and by the way, Exodia is very easy to find in these booster packs. It'll cost you 200 in-game currency, and by the time you finish a duel in the campaign you'll have several thousand, so you can buy, you know, about 15 packs of cards for every duel you play in the campaign. So that is kind of frustrating that it's so easy to get the powerful cards, because people are going to stock their decks full of Blue Eyes and Exodia. I mean, I've got like 3 of the, you know, the ultimate Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon and the Luster Dragon put into one. I can't remember what his name is, but yeah, I've got loads of those. I've got loads of Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragons, Blue Eyes Shining Dragons. It's very easy to find these rare cards, and I wish it wasn't, to be honest. It doesn't really feel like you earn them. And also playing through the campaign, there's set cards you unlock automatically, like the God cards. Once you finish Yugi's story, you will have all 3 versions of the God cards. You will have the Blue Eyes White Dragon. You will have every main card of all the characters you've beaten up to that point. So when you beat, say, Weevil, you will unlock the Ultimate Great Moth. When you beat Kaiba, you will get the Blue Eyes White Dragon. When you beat Marek, or whatever his name is, you will get the Winged Dragon of Ra. So it's very easy to get these cards. So by the time you even get to Jaden, you've got all 3 God cards and everything else, and you are basically OP as crap. So that's kind of annoying, because I wish that it was a lot more difficult to get these ultra rare cards, so when you do get them, it feels more unique, and you feel like you're more privileged to actually have them, because you've been playing the game so long and you've been lucky enough to get them, like it was in real life. I mean, you get a Blue Eyes White Dragon back in the day, and you were the talk of everyone. You know, oh my god, this person's got a Blue Eyes White Dragon. Well, it's a bit like when eBay was introduced in the real world. You could just buy whatever card you want straight off the bat, and there's no way that, it's not really that special to have a Blue Eyes White Dragon. Even if the cards were as popular as they used to be, it still wouldn't be that amazing, because eBay exists. It's kind of the same thing. Whereas before it was amazing in the Yu-Gi-Oh games or in real life where you had a Blue Eyes White Dragon. Now it's kind of like, so you got a Blue Eyes, big whooping do. You know, it's kind of the same thing, both in-game and in real life. And I do wish they kind of kept that specialness of having these rare cards. You know, having all 3 God cards and the Blue Eyes and the Ultimate Dragon. That's great. But when everybody else has them, it kind of takes away how special these cards are and how special they were supposed to be, both in the anime and back in the day. So that's just kind of a little rant there, and I do wish that was different. There's another mode where you can literally buy just sort of rent a booster pack of cards, of random cards, and then play them against an AI or online. And if you win 5 duels, or if you go through 5 duels, basically you win if you win the majority of the 5 duels, obviously. And if you get through that, you get to keep the cards that you actually got. So I think that's a nice little inclusion as well, this sort of lucky dip sort of thing. And I got some pretty good cards when I played it. So, you know, I'm really looking forward to doing that again. And that was really fun to do, because you're not playing with your own cards. You're playing with somebody else's vision of cards, basically, like this random lucky dip of cards. And sometimes you can get good ones, sometimes you can get crap ones, but I was lucky when I got mine, so that's good. One thing that really confused me about this game, though, is a game based on a trading card game. There's no way of trading cards. So that's kind of pointless. I mean, like, say for example, Exodia, you can only have 1 of each piece of Exodia in your deck. So, I mean, I've got like 4 or 5 pieces of each piece of Exodia, and I've got no use for, you know, the majority of them, because I can only have 1 in my deck, which I don't even have that in my deck, to be honest, because I've got other cards and more strategies I use that doesn't involve Exodia. So let's say that I wanted, say, the Blackluster Soldier. Let's say I wanted to trade a piece of Exodia for the Blackluster Soldier, or all 5 pieces for the Blackluster Soldier. I can't really do that. There's no way of trading the cards with people online. And I think that's kind of stupid, because that was the essence of the game back in the day. It was a trading card game where you trade your cards with your friends. It was that sort of spirit and that sort of community that we had. And that's what the games was all about. It wasn't just about battling, it was about creating that community of friends who traded cards and helped each other out. And I thought that was nice, and that was something that could very easily be translated into a game with online. You know, offer your cards online and trade them. Now I know the worries with that. People might put posts up on eBay and sell people cards in game, but you know what? That's the risk you have to take. The majority of people aren't going to do that, and it's kind of ruined the game in little ways, because in a game about trading card games, you should be able to trade your cards, and I don't see why they haven't put that in the game. That's very confusing to me, and honestly it's a bit of a letdown, because it's that sort of community that we could create. People don't just play games online, they create online communities. You see that with Facebook groups dedicated to certain games or different, you know, anime or TV programs or films or whatever. People like this sense of community, building up this community based on a common interest. It's the same way as in Call of Duty. When you create a clan, you've got a group of friends who play together, and people like that. People like having these communities where they support each other and help each other, and that's what online gaming is all about. It's not just about playing the games online, it's about creating those friendships and having that community, and that's what these games, that's what this card game is supposed to engulf. It's supposed to be about trading each other cards to help each other out and having that community. And it could have been very, very well done if you could create a team of duelists online, or, you know, offer your cards in sort of, you know, eBay-like posts in the game, and you say, oh yeah, I'm offering this card, or just like in the Pokemon games, you know, with the GTS, where you offer a Pokemon and you ask for another Pokemon in return, and if people see it, they're like, yeah, okay, I'll do that trade, and you swap. It could have been the same thing, and that's what should have been in this game. That's the one thing that's really missing from this game that really should have been in there. A trading card game needs to have the ability to trade cards, and, you know, that's just something that's really missing from this game. It really takes a lot away from how good this game could have been. So, I mean, if you think about it, it's not really that amazing. It's not really that needed, considering how easy it is to get these ultra special cards, but it is something that should have been added to this game, and I'm really confused about why it hasn't been. And if there is a way of adding that in, Konami, I really suggest you do that, because this game is desperately needing something like that. I think the thing that I've spent the most time, barring the campaign, in, you know, things outside the campaign, is deck editor. You can have a certain amount of decks, I can't remember how many you can actually have, and you can name your deck, you can set an avatar to an actual duelist from the anime, and you can actually build up your deck the way you want it. Now, the real life ban list still applies, so you can't have Monster Reborn, you can't have Pot of Greed, and you can only have 1 piece of Exodia, and there's certain cards that are either banned or in limited supply. You can only have so many of them in your deck, and that goes off the real life ban list, and I like that, because it's trying to really, you know, if I play someone in real life using these, you know, it's the exact same experience but in a game, and I think that's fantastic. It's just like playing a real life version of these on a game, and I think that's amazing. In the campaign, they don't really have a ban list or a limited number list, because they're trying to recreate from the program, and even though Monster Reborn is banned in real life and in online duels on the game, it's not been banned in the anime, so that's why in the campaign, which is centered more on the anime, you can use cards like Monster Reborn, but in online duels, which are more centered around, you know, physical, the actual real life game, you can't use cards like Monster Reborn. So I like that. A lot of people probably don't, because a lot of people aren't fans of the ban list. I'm one of them, but at the same time, I do want to have a Yu-Gi-Oh! Simulation game. I want to feel like I'm actually playing the trading card game, and even though I don't like the ban list, it still adds to that. So I'm definitely all for that being included in the game in online duels. Frustratingly, you cannot see the cards that you actually play, and what I mean by that is when you put down a monster card, in the anime you actually see a hologram of that monster and then you see them attack. On a current gen console, that would have been very, very easy and realistic to introduce. I understand why it probably wouldn't have been in the PS1 Yu-Gi-Oh games, but PS4 and Xbox One Yu-Gi-Oh games? Really? You can't do that? It literally is like taking an actual Yu-Gi-Oh card and saying, right, I played the Red Eyes Black Dragon, there it is, I'm going to attack you, and then it's just an implied attack. Now there are some cards where you do see an actual physical sort of actual card, the monster itself. If you attack with the Blue Eyes, or the Red Eyes, or the Dark Magician are the only three I've seen so far which do this, they actually come out of their card and attack. And I like that little addition, but it would have been nice to actually see the monsters you play in between the two sort of sets of cards. That would have been interesting. Even if they don't move and they're just sort of there to represent the card, that would have been nice to sort of add. You know, you've got the actual duel space from the anime and there's nothing in between. It's just sort of a map with cards on it, and I get that's what it's like if you use these things in real life, but it is based on the anime and it is a video game, so it would have been nice to have actually included these monster holograms actually in the gameplay. Again, you know, it's a small gripe, but it would have been nice. It's something else that would have added to this game like phenomenally, and I do think it's another missed opportunity by Konami with this, so I do wish that that was in the game. Honestly, that does bring this game down just ever so much more. Overall as well, the music is not good. It doesn't have a sense of urgency when you fight someone as big, say when you fight Pegasus at the end of the Duel Kingdom, or when you fight Marek, or when you fight Atem. You just don't feel that sense of urgency. It's just way too calm, it's sort of relaxed, and it doesn't actually make you feel the sense, you know, the drama that is involved with these duels. When Yugi was fighting Pegasus, which is part of the campaign at the end of the Duel Kingdom, he's fighting for Kaiba, Mokuba, and his grandfather's souls, as well as getting that 3 million Zeni for Joey for his sister to have that eye operation. So there's a lot at stake with him fighting Pegasus, and just take a look at this. Doesn't really give off that sense of urgency and drama. When he's fighting Marek, the whole fate of the planet is at his fingertips as he's fighting someone who wants to use the God Cards and Millennium Items to take over the world. There's a lot at stake, and it sounds like this. not the best. Sorry, Konami, but you really fucked up music in this game. One thing I like that you can actually do is there's something called a reverse duel, and you'll have to do this to unlock more characters for the Duelist challenges. If you, say, play through the campaign and then you want to actually beat Yugi as Pegasus, you can do that. Now, you won't initiate a cutscene by doing that. It's just a case of unlocking Yugi for the Duelist challenges and getting more unlocks. But I like that little addition that you don't have to play the game the way they say. If you want to have, say, Marek beat Yugi, or fuck it, have Joey beat frickin'... hang on, who's he fight? Have Joey beat Yugi to get into the finals with Pegasus. You can do that in the game. You can just press square and you can just go from playing as Yugi to Joey or whoever else, whichever duel you're going through. And it's any of the duels in the game, you can do that. So I like that little addition. I think it's nice. I think it's good. I think it's a small little addition that just adds to, you know, the more freedom you get with this game. So, in conclusion, what do I think of Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist? Honestly, as a lifelong Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan from back in the day, I started watching it pretty much as soon as it hit TV, so, you know, I think in terms of nostalgia, it really does play up to that. And if you are a Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan, you are definitely going to enjoy the nostalgic feelings it's going to give you. It really burrows into your nostalgia and warms it, because, honestly, if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan, this game gives you everything you're going to want. It gives you that sense of nostalgia for everything, sort of from the campaign to a lot of the cards that you haven't seen in years, a lot of the characters you haven't seen in years, and a lot of the stories that you haven't seen in years. You've also got the ability to create your own deck in-game, which I think is bloody fantastic. You can build your deck the way you want it without actually having to have the cards in real life, and you can also get booster packs for in-game money. So even though there is going to be DLC that you will have to pay for, it's also very good that there's also this sort of system of getting all the cards in-game without spending any real-life money. They do give you that option, so it's not like you have to buy the DLC to get the extra cards. So I do like that. It doesn't mean that in-game currency will get you the DLC, so don't take my word as that, because that's not what I'm saying at all. But there is this system of buying cards in-game using in-game currency, which obviously is not including the cards in the DLC, but it's a nice little alternative. They're not forcing you to buy the DLC, and that's good. So I like that little system there. There's a couple of things I would change about the game personally, but overall I think it works. I think that everything that they're offering is worth the asking price, considering it's half or less than half the price of a full price game. Now, I did a Godzilla review earlier on this month, and overall, even though I like the game and I carry on playing it now, I do think that it offers too little for such a large price. So with that game, I do recommend you do wait until it comes down in price. This game, however, is less than half the price of a regular game and gives you more than Godzilla did. So overall, I do recommend, if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan or you used to be a Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan and you want that sense of nostalgia, I recommend you go out and get this game. You don't even have to go out and get the game. It's digital download only. So there is a trophy system as well. There's no platinum for anyone who's interested in that sort of thing, but the trophies are very easy to get. So I just want to mention that as well, because I know there's people who do hunt trophies, and it's very easy to get the 100%. So if that's something that appeals to you as well, this game's going to satisfy that as well. So overall, when it comes to rating this game, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It gives you more than the Godzilla game did. It's probably the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Game I've ever played. I'm saying probably because I haven't really thought about it that much, but you know, at the moment, I would say, yeah, it probably is the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Game I've ever played. It gives you everything that you would want as a Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan. You know, your ability to customise your own deck, to play online, that's something we've been asking for years. The campaign that goes back into our childhood and allows us to relive everything we loved about Yu-Gi-Oh! So, overall, I do recommend you go out and get this game. Finally, I want to say thank you for watching this video. If you are a subscriber, thank you for your continued support. If you're not a subscriber yet, please click that subscribe button, because there is going to be more content on this channel coming up, and you're not going to want to miss it. There's stuff that's already been uploaded as well, so go back and look at those. Thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy this video, hit a thumbs up, share it on Facebook and Twitter and all sorts of social media. Yeah, leave a comment in the comment section below as well. Let me know how you're finding the game. Did I convince you to get the game? Is there anything you don't like about the game? Please drop it in the comment section below, because I'm always up to reply to people in the comment section. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.